all of those along the way, all of those questions. So,
God, I did hit record on there so
yes,
that we had to have a copy of it and I can share it with some folks. So
that's awesome. So that person will be able to answer those questions along the way, and so that's your trip manager. That person may or may not have been assigned yet, and I don't know if you already. I don't. So look for that information in the next few weeks. I would suspect. Till then, I'm certainly glad to continue to answer questions about this. Jeff, you asked for me to just share a little bit about my
yeah,
background.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please do.
Well, you mentioned that I worked at Word Music, and I did. And the main reason that I worked at Word Music is because of hymns. I've got a real deep, long time interest and love of hymns. And that's why this particular trip has been so great to see come together. Um, I've also worked with Keith and Kristen Getty, hymn writers. For about 10 years, I helped to manage and um, their uh, their business and their events and their concerts and their, all the things that Keith and Kristen are involved with. And so again, putting me um, in close connection with hymns in this
And
in that
over your shoulder there, I see the celebration hymnal. You had a big hand in that, didn't you?
I did that hymnal plus several others that I've been either on advisory committee for or helped with marketing in the background for those hymnals. So that's why this trip is a very cool thing to see. So I'm thrilled uh, to help answer questions and do whatever I can to help connect those dots for anybody who's wondering whether this would be a trip for them. And I sure hope everybody decides yes.
Great. Tell us a little bit about Worship Convergence.
Company is a division of a larger travel company called Perform International, and this division is mostly focused on church ministry trips, those trips that have an element of church ministry, church worship, evangelism. Those trips kind of fall into what we're focused on doing.
Great, great. We got to go with you guys last summer to DC and really enjoyed that and look forward to continuing to partner with you, man. So
Yeah, and that's a sampling of the type things that we will always put into our trips. It's going to always have elements of what you would get from any, and I just the broad AAA travel tourism trip kind of things, because they're the heritage and the sites and the some of that is vitally important. You don't want to spend a lot of money to go to London and not see St. Paul's, or not see some other things that are just standards that you wouldn't, it'd be a shame to go there and not see or at least experience some of it. And so we want to always have those elements to it, but then also have that ministry element as well.
yeah, and that's one of the cool things I'm liking about this itinerary is it's not just London, but we get to go to those other places south and west of there to really dig into some history of where some of our great hymns came from. So
Yeah, and some of those are just some of my favorite cities. Bristol is just so great. Stratford-upon-Avon is just the cutest village and such a great place to be and to absorb the culture there. So you're and then London and Cambridge are just amazing places.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, go ahead and if you want to kind of walk through the itinerary a little bit, give them a little highlight of that.
Yeah. Does everyone have a copy of the itinerary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We got it.
Great. Well, I won't read everything that's here listed. but I'll try and between the lines share a little bit about some of the travel, some of what maybe the day might look like, or
I
those
know
things.
a couple of folks had inquired about the amount of walking involved as well. So
Sure, and just in general,
we're all going to go on a walking diet and health kick between now and then.
it is part of my advice to anybody going on a trip. Even if you are just going, I don't know, randomly anywhere else internationally, getting yourself in a better aerobic shape just helps you handle the flight better. And so, I highly recommend getting on treadmills for a good 3 months building up to the trip. Be consistent about watching your diet and the things that just help put you in a little healthier place as you get closer to the trip. It'll make a world of difference for everybody. Um, Day one is going to be a day of travel, and with any day of travel, when it involves flights and likely delays and all the fun that is involved with travel, I always just encourage everyone to pack their patience. And I think psychologically, preparing yourself for a long flight is just about as important as anything you're going to put in your carry-on bag. Just know that you'll be squished up with people. You might have a video player that doesn't work on the plane. You might have um, screaming kids in front and behind you. All those things that you just need to be prepared for, and to pack your patience, I think is always vitally important. Long flights. Are there, and I won't be able to see the hands, but are there people in the room who haven't taken a long flight of 6 hours or more at a time?
A couple,
Yeah,
most of them fairly seasoned at it. So
that's great.
that's good. Talk to us a little bit about I mean, we intend to leave from Midland
That's the plan at this point. Yes,
and not have to drive on a bus to Dallas or anywhere. It's hard to do
that's right.
sometimes here.
So you'll be divided into multiple flights out of Midland, I think is the plan, and then meeting up for everyone to be on a single flight into London.
Okay.
Um,
Either from Dallas or from Houston, probably, right?
that's right. That's right. That I don't know that has been. Let's see. No, it hadn't been determined yet because we're more than a year out. So we will know that information sometime about a year before the trip.
Go ahead and address the land only and someone that might have points. Is that something that anybody might be interested in hearing about, um, or is everybody like, just get me a plane ticket and I'm going with you kind of deal? Or if they can upgrade any, is there any of that possibilities?
Yes, if somebody wants to make their own flight arrangements and use points, be able to take advantage of um, um, that um,
Benefit.
status that they have on an airline or something, and want to just meet in London, there will be specifically the morning of June 29th. You'll need to be at that airport by whatever the ballpark time is, probably 6 a.m. London time or so, and you can certainly do arrangements on your own. And that is something that um, we typically have at least a few people. Well, I shouldn't say that. We typically have somebody on most trips who is taking advantage of something like that.
Okay. Anybody have questions about that as far as flying and all that stuff? When we went over the Christmas holidays, Laurie and I flew out of here. We flew to Houston, and then Houston to London was a 9-hour flight. And it worked out great because we left Houston at like 11 o'clock at night, and of course they feed you every 3 hours, seems like, and the hesitance or the hard part was not turning the video screen on. I just had to close my eyes, and I did well. I probably slept 5 or 6 hours that night and got up. We got there about 7 a.m., just like he's saying, and found our baggage and hit the road. So it was great. So
let's talk about baggage. Typically, we would you have one larger bag, and whether that's something that is checked or whether you're a person who can go the entire trip with just a rollerboard and a personal item. So that will test your packing abilities, or whether you care how many times you rewear a shirt.
I imagine most of us are going to be packing a big one.
So in that bigger bag, just a little bit of a travel tip. If you're going as a couple, or if you're a single, and find another single friend, but I would highly recommend that you divide your things up and pack in each other's check bag. In case somebody loses a bag, then you and your spouse or friend still have, a good 2-3 days worth of whatever you thought you were going to have. And in addition to that, I always recommend packing an outfit in your carry-on, in that personal item that you have. And that will really help your initial day or 2 or 3 in case there are any issues with luggage. I'm always the guy who suggests that you plan for any potential issues if you can. So that might be just a little help that might come in handy for you.
All right, so we get there, and where are we headed first?
Yeah, you get there, and then we're going to drive south to Brighton, which is a lovely place. You're getting close to the coast in Brighton, and you see there that is particularly because of Charlotte Elliott, and specifically Just As I Am, and I'll just mention that all of these hymns and hymn writers that are mentioned become just beautiful moments for the group to sing a few minutes of a hymn or 2 or 3 of that were written in those locations, or that hymn writer ministered in those locations. I think it helps to bring some of the history and the culture of the hymn to life as you kind of see the surroundings of what those hymn writers were seeing as they were riding there. And on the bus rides to and from, spending some time talking about the biography of some of those hymn writers is always a very cool thing. Again, helps to put the story of those hymns into context. After Bristol, then we drive kind of along the coast, driving west to Salisbury, and overnight there. And we always do a welcome dinner on the first night. So we'll have a welcome dinner there in the area. Site to be determined. Many times it's at the hotel, but that'll be certainly something that's included. You'll notice that on your itinerary, a welcome dinner and a farewell dinner are included there.
So on the hotels, for a quick second, I know you and I went back and forth a little bit on trying to save a little bit of money and maybe not staying but at the end of the day, I went to the top one. And so tell us about the hotels. It didn't save that much to go to the under ones, but tell us about the hotels.
Yeah, the hotels that we just to put it in context with hotels that people can relate to, um, kind of tourist class hotels are what you would experience with a Hampton Inn or a um, Fairfield Inn, something along those lines. What you've chosen with this particular itinerary is a little bit of a step up from that. So think a Marriott, a Hyatt, a Hilton, some of the flagship um, brands of the hotels, thinking along those lines. Each of those hotel stays will come with breakfast the next morning, included, what they would call an American breakfast included.
Not an English breakfast? Come on, man.
Oh, it'll have elements of an English breakfast for sure.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So the next
the
day we
whole
get to go to
concept of
the
a breakfast being included is around the world, people will term that an American package or American
yeah.
breakfast.
The next day we get to see some of the Wesleys as well as Stonehenge. So
Yeah, Stonehenge is not that far from Salisbury, and so you'll have that short drive to Stonehenge, which is just a fabulous area to be in. Are there people in the group who this will be the first time that they've seen Stonehenge?
anybody seen it before? John got a couple of them. We got a replica one over in Odessa, but
It's probably about the same.
yeah,
Probably, maybe less weirdness that happens in the early mornings in Odessa. I don't know. Maybe not. Um, maybe not.
Y'all be careful now, right? So
Stonehenge, if you're anywhere in the area, you shouldn't miss it, for sure. And so they've got a great visitor center there. Visitor center has trams that take you right up to the circle of the rocks, or it's a lovely walk. And if you want to make the walk, it's really nice. Just whatever works out best for you, and it probably works out best for the timing of the group. The tour guide will shed more information on what the options and things like that are for the.
okay.
Then then the drive over to Bristol, which I mentioned earlier, is just such a cute city, one of my favorites, and so much to take in Bristol. It's everything to do with the Wesleys, and particularly the new room, which is just such a great place to see. And it's an opportunity to sing a little bit, to experience the site where so much um, was written and preached, and of our Christian faith. So um, highlight really highlight the what that day will be for everybody.
Okay.
Next day, we're moving towards Stratford-upon-Avon, eventually making a bit of a stop along the way there. So it'll be a pretty good bit of time on a bus to get up to Stratford-upon-Avon and the Stourport area. And Take My Life and Let It Be. What a lovely hymn. And you'll get a chance to see that church there. Overnight there in Stratford-upon-Avon, and I mentioned that such a cute place, and you'll really enjoy the time to walk around that village there, and really enjoy the time to take that in. And then next day is over to Cambridge, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think that's the longest day on a bus. And so that's 120 miles or so, I believe.
I was
And
gonna say though, when you say long times, for us out here in West Texas, 120 miles is like nothing.
no, I
And
get,
so,
yeah, I
you
totally
know,
get that. The speed
I was gonna
limits,
say I looked at it on a map, and these trips are not, they're not long. And so, and the
yeah,
bus, tell us a little bit about it. It's a coach, a motor coach.
yes, motor coach usually seat around 48 to 53 passengers, and we'll determine the actual size of the coach once the registrations of the group are in, or as we start to get closer. And but they're a luxury coach as you would experience here in the States. Restroom in the back, little luggage section for small personal items, and then underneath for larger pieces of luggage.
Yes, sir. All right.
Um,
Tell us about Cambridge.
Cambridge,
Yeah.
Cambridge. Oh goodness, what an amazing college town, and what a great place. Um, and then I mean we're experiencing the John Newton stuff there, and I mean John Newton. I mean, wow, the life and ministry there of John Newton, and then digging into um, or going over to St. Peter St. Paul uh, Church where he was at. Um, I noticed that on here we're still talking about the 250th anniversary of Amazing Grace. Add a few years to that by the time we get there, so we'll be celebrating 253, and um, and then being able to be in Cambridge there at Clare College and seeing all of that and being in the area, it's just lovely.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Robertson, I believe is that a Stoneyard Church? Yeah, Stoneyard Church. If we've got time permitting, is there if we can get that worked into the itinerary as well. Um, and then a fairly short drive into London the next day, and we park ourselves in London for 3 nights, I believe.
Yes,
One,
sir.
two, 3 nights. Yeah, 3 nights, and then have the chance to do some very cool things with Grantham and the church that he is at, and then experience some really great things just around the London area.
Yeah, I think it's exciting that I realized this past week that the day we're going to do missions with him is July the 4th, which will be our 250th, right,
That's right.
anniversary as a church. And I don't know if we want to celebrate that with them there, but they may be. But so, and Grantham, when and this, some of y'all don't know, my son, my youngest, went over there in October to pastor a church. He was looking to church plant somewhere in UK, and to do a church plant with the Church of England was going to be quite extensive, quite difficult. He spent 4 months over there right after high school with the IMB on a hands-on assignment, and his direct report that's over that region is still there. When Grantham talked to him about it, he said, "Well, I know this church, and they've got 7 people left, and they've been looking for a pastor for, I want to say, 5 or 6 years. I mean, a long time." And so he got them in touch with them. They interviewed him, brought him in to preach, and they offered him. He is the pastor of Hampton Wick Baptist Church. He's not being sponsored or sent by or anything. He's got a clergy visa, and for like 5 years, and they had 7 or so when he got there. They had 40 on Easter Sunday, and so it's exciting to see what God is doing. So we'll all be in prayer about. He's like, "Dad, I don't know what I need you to do yet." So because I hadn't even started, and so this will probably be a last couple of months decision next spring, and it may be simple as prayer walking or something. But we'll definitely go into his church on Saturday, and then Sunday morning we'll go back down there and worship with them and sing a little bit, and and just encourage them. So, and get to hold my grandson, so whose name happens to be Wesley. I mean, how perfect is all of this? So
I think it's moments like this that will. I mean, you'll everybody will remember being able to sing a lot of these hymns along the way in all of these stops. But it'll be the weekend there with Grantham and his church that really will be the 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 icing on the cake for everybody in the experience of what this trip will be. That's the DNA of what you really want these trips to be when you think about it, the experience. You know, you can go hit all the historic sites around, but being able to do really great ministry work will be the things that will feel extra meaningful when it's all said and done, and you'll be thinking about over and over again in the years to come.
yeah, and I remember the DC trip, and we got to sing at the Museum at the Bible and David's tent and see all the monuments and everything. But I think my favorite part was going to the veterans home, and singing at the veterans home and reaching out and watching Deanne and her daughter, minister to some of those veterans and others as they did some, just one-on-one, hands-on ministry. And I'm just so excited that we get to have that opportunity as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a bit of a walk through just some of the itinerary, the highlights. I mean, very very few details.
I'll be honest with you, gang. My wife and I, I admit this maybe grudgingly or something, but she loves, and I've loved with her. We like watching the Downton Abbey shows, and we tried to get a little trip into Highclere Castle, and I'm not giving up on it yet.
Nope.
But you just can't schedule it this far out.
That's right.
And so next spring, when we get closer, all right, I've had a couple say they're in for that. So
yeah, that's actually a good word and something for me to say a little bit more on. We're now what
13 months.
Yeah, so we're once we get inside of a year, and then inside 6 months, there are other parts of this itinerary that'll start to solidify. And so this is the opportunity to sign up, to start payments now, to make the cost of it a little easier on the budget, and then many more of the details will happen now. This is also the opportunity for you to make sure you've got things in place like your passport, because now's the time to be getting that done. Is there anybody in the group that doesn't have a passport or needs to get it renewed?
Got one. So,
okay. So,
renewed. And
so
we'll have more that are joining. So,
yeah, I would highly recommend to get that process going. They have
England has a new.
England has a new electronic travel. What do they call it? ETA, electronic advisor authorization. Yeah, and it has a small fee involved, but that's
it's no big
easily done.
So, all right, so we got through the itinerary. You got questions you can ask in a minute, but you started on the bad news. So now talk to us about the money part and how we sign up and all that kind of stuff, and deadlines and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. In the packet of information, there was a schedule of payments that shows 12 payments in addition to the deposit, and really that's simply a suggested schedule. If anyone in the group, say, gets quarterly bonuses, then we can defer those monthly payments until quarterly things. If someone has yearly bonus and we need to defer things to whenever, or if you want to front end things because now's a great time to pay for the whole trip, or whatever, that really is a suggested schedule to make the payments as low as they can be and broken up over the course of a year.
But as we're trying to get that number up to where we need to be, someone can sign up in August or September or October too. You know, it's
Absolutely.
not like you have to sign on the dotted line today or anything.
No, absolutely not. And uh, the earlier you're able to register, the earlier you're able to start into a schedule of payments, and the better our notion is on what the final count of the group will be. That just helps us make those arrangements when we have to buy tickets for access into things along the trip.
Yes, sir. All right. What about the way they pay, whether it's check, credit card?
Yeah,
How do
we can figure out, whatever works best. There can be sending in a check, certainly setting up a credit card payment is the easiest online, but we can certainly take a check if someone prefers to do it
the
that way.
credit card has a surcharge?
It does. It's a small, it's what we're all used to anymore for
Yeah.
some online transactions. Over the course, it does add up a little bit over the course of a fairly high ticket item like this, but it's certainly the easiest convenience for everything.
All right. And then there's a URL there on that registration link, guys, and that's where you would go to sign up. You don't sign up through me. You
That's
sign
right.
up through that link, and
Yeah, and
that's how
that
the process
asks.
starts.
And it asks that actually is the registration that captures a good bit of information that's needed for the trip planning along the way. So
I'm gonna be honest with all you guys, on that link too. I guess the full document that we're holding is in there, right? As far as, because I did
yes,
not, if I would have printed everything, it would have been about 15 pages because there's lots of fine print. I didn't give you all the fine print, okay? Because it's just a lot of paper, and I didn't know how many of you would really read it, and I didn't want to put it out for the church to grab and all that kind of stuff. But as far as someone that signs up and then they find out a few months away they can't go, since I don't have that in front of them, Scott, do you know what the cancellation schedule is real quick?
not real quick, but I'm pulling it up now to take a look at. Typically, I mean, the quick answer is we are glad to work with everybody as much as possible. We highly recommend purchasing the travel insurance that is an additional fee, but in this world of travel, I highly recommend it. It's a small cost to help protect a larger investment that everybody's making in this trip, and that is the part that um, gives you better coverage for those things that nobody is planning on at this point: health, job loss, situations with air travel, all sorts of things. So that's where insurance really does pay off at that point.
Well, like I said, guys, the full document's going to be in that link, so you can go on and read all the fine print on it. And I urge you to do that before you do anything, so you understand.
There is an actual table, and I just found it in the documents. It said uh, prior to 120 days, the cancellation is your deposit, and then you would get everything else back. But as you get a little closer to the departure date, then there's a little bit that is kept a little bit more because additional tickets and additional plans have been made at that point.
Okay. All right. Does anybody, you got anything else, Scott? Any questions from
Well, a
anybody?
couple of other things that I usually include for groups for this. Um, uh, I'd recommend that you get some local currency in advance. Don't land and jump to an ATM. I mean, that's available to you in the airport, but it'd be good for you to have some local currency in your pocket before you even land, and local banks are glad to help you with that. And you're not dealing with, just for spending money on the trip, you're not dealing with anything that's, when I was had my own travel company, we made huge purchases of foreign currency at times whenever the dollar, the fluctuation was in our favor to make those purchases. You're looking for spending cash for buying some lunches and dinners and small souvenirs. So, that's not anything that I'd worry too much about the what the cost of the dollar is these days, and just get your bank to get you, a couple $100 of local currency to have in your pocket when you arrive. It'll make it easier for you. We talked about luggage. We talked about passports. We talked about packing patience. Those are some of the keys.
Those are the biggies.
You
Yeah,
mentioned lunches and dinners, like those two. What types of places are we looking at?
what type of places are we looking at on lunches and dinners? Is it, as far as expense, is it?
For the most part, those lunches and dinners, when they're on your own, are in an area where you'll have multiple choices of I won't use the word fast food. Well, it's British fast food, which is a pub or a small cafes that are around, and typically they're fairly inexpensive, but there are lots of good choices in the areas of the hotels or in the areas where the buses have dropped everybody off for everybody to explore a particular area on your own in between sites. Does that help?
Credit cards?
Yeah, credit cards are,
Oh, absolutely.
definitely.
And anymore, credit cards typically come with just the automatic rates of the international travel rates and stuff. That's a good reminder, though. With credit cards and cell phones, you'll want to check that to be sure before you take off with those items, to make sure that there's not with credit cards, it's good to notify your credit card issuer that you're traveling internationally in advance, so there's not a question about it. Sometimes credit card issuers will put a stop on your account until you respond to say, yes, it's me. But if they know that you're going to be in the UK, then you will likely not have those issues. Cell phones are much more universal now and probably include an international cell phone plan, but it's a good reminder to check that for sure.
Anything else? We've got a banquet we've got to get to.
Hotels, are they going to be like, out in the sticks, middle of nowhere? Are they gonna be right in the heart of the towns? What type of, locations are these hotels at?
Oh,
Okay.
right. Yeah, right. Great locations, because they'll be in areas that you're able to walk to numerous places to eat and to see sights. So yeah, these and that's part of the benefit of the higher end hotel that you'll be in. So they use the phrase city center, and so these hotels will be fairly convenient to city center.
Anything else?
Just on the schedules, I mean, what you said, it says you're free on your own in the evenings. What time would the days typically end, and what time would the days typically begin?
How early do we leave and that kind of stuff?
Typically leaving 10ish. And typically we're arriving in those hotels by 5 to 6 p.m. It really will vary daily. And then there was one day, see if I can see which one it was. There was one day where everything is kind of in the area of our hotel, and they might actually be doing check-in closer to 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then get you checked in and then go out to see one of the things or some of the things that were on the itinerary. So it'll vary a little bit, but for the most part, you'll be to the hotel at a pretty normal dinner hour, and then we're usually on the road by 10 or so in the morning.
Okay. That's too much sleep. We gotta get going. Come on, y'all.
Well, that's the beauty of getting up early and enjoying more of an adventure in those cities.
Yeah.
And I will say that some of that will also be determined by ticket times on some of the events and some of the sites. So there very well could be something that forces us to leave a hotel by 7:30 because we've got to get to our ticketed event by 9 or something.
All right, so we got, Deanne was asking, we got like I think it's five nights in 5 different hotels, and then
That's
3
right.
nights.
Yeah, and
Which makes packing very important.
Yeah, let me just encourage everyone. I know that a carry-on piece of luggage is a struggle, or someone might think that it's a struggle to be so concise in their packing. But if you are going to take a larger bag that has to be checked with the airlines, keep in mind that there are going to be a lot of on and off the bus, in and out of hotels, that's your responsibility to schlep. And so be mindful, as mindful as you can be, about the weight of that. I think there's probably some limits of 50 pounds. I think is officially maybe many of the international airlines weights, and we'll want to verify that as we get closer. But anything you can do to pack more effectively and more efficiently will serve you well along the whole tour. I don't like going in and out of hotels as frequently as that for that many one nights. It's just the way that a good efficient tour of the area kind of has to work out. You'll love the 3 nights, and it'll feel extra luxurious when you're in London for 3 nights.
Tell us about the hosts and guides that would be with us.
Hosts and guides.
Yeah, to be determined about who specifically that is as we get closer. But they are
knowledgeable about the
incredibly, and without exception, some of the best time that you'll experience is going to be on those buses while they're sharing about the areas that you're driving through, things you've just seen or things you're about to see. And it's also a great opportunity to sing a little bit about, we've outlined, I don't know, maybe there were 7 or 8 specific composers here, and highlighted a few of their hymns. But these are some of the most prolific hymn writers in history, and there are so many other songs that it might be a great time to print out some song sheets that would help to highlight 20 or 30 hymns that give a bigger breadth of the hymnody that's represented by in these areas.
What's the weather like 1st of July there, man?
It's awesome. It can be hot, it can be cool. So good luck.
Yeah.
What
about rainy seasons? Not in July. It's not really the rainy season.
It's not rainy season. I've been there when it's certainly been raining there.
Probably down on the coast, it'd be a little cooler, maybe.
It hopefully little cooler usually. The breeze that comes through on the English Channel there is usually pretty stiff, but and it's lovely. So hopefully you get some nice, pretty sunny days. Pack a hat and pack some shirts that have the whatever the SPH stuff, you know, however they magically treat a fabric for it to, but you know, you'll think about that as you start to think about what your outfits will look like. And yeah, pack for what are likely to be sunny days.
Yes. All right, we got to wrap this up because some of us got a little banquet we got to go to down at the other end. But any other final questions? Scott, thank you.
Oh, and as I said at the top, this doesn't, you know, you'll come up with other questions at midnight tonight, and so fire off you know, those questions to me.
All right, I'm going to ask y'all to write your name on a pad, and if you got people going with you, if you're representing numbers of your group that might be going, write all those names down. And Scott,
Okay.
we're indebted. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much, and it's been great to share a little bit about this trip, and I know no doubt this will be a great experience for everybody who goes.
Y'all say bye, Scott. See you, buddy.
See ya.